Part 1. A Whisper in the Dark. I used to believe silence was peaceful, until I learned it could also be a warning. Emma and I had been married for 7 years. Not every year was perfect, but I thought we had a rhythm. We knew each other's habits, quirks, dreams. Or at least I believed we did. Lately, though, something had shifted. Emma, once vibrant and talkative, now fell silent at dinner. Her laughter, once spontaneous, now felt calculated. We still touched, still made love, but even that felt different. Mechanical, disconnected, like we were imitating the motions of a couple still in love. I told myself it was work stress. She was a creative director at an agency downtown, and I knew the pressure was constant. Still, doubt crept in. Not a scream, more like a whisper. Something small. One night, while she showered, I noticed her phone buzzing. It wasn't unusual, her team messaged her all hours. But this time, it wasn't a work group chat. It was a name I didn't recognize. Luca. Just Luca. No last name. No emoji. Just Luca. I didn't open it. I swear I didn't. But I stared at that name longer than I should have. Emma came out in a towel, her skin glowing with steam, and I tried to act normal. Work again? I asked casually, nodding toward the buzzing phone. She looked at it quickly and replied, "Yeah, new campaign. They're a nightmare." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, wondering if I was imagining things. If this was just what marriage looked like after a few years. But in my gut, something twisted. Something cold. The next day, I decided to take the afternoon off. I told Emma I had a late meeting. She kissed me goodbye like always, but the kiss was brief. Distracted. Instead of going to the office, I followed her. I told myself I wasn't spying, just watching over things. I felt sick even thinking it, but I had to know. She went to a cafe on the east side, sat by the window, ordered a black coffee and stared at the door. Her phone was in her hand. Her leg bounced nervously, and then he arrived. Tall.
Tan.
Stylish. The kind of man who looks like he knows secrets. They didn't kiss, but they hugged too close too long. They sat across from each other, speaking in low voices. I couldn't hear anything, but I didn't need to. She laughed. The real kind. The kind I hadn't seen in months. I took a photo. I don't know why. Maybe to prove to myself it was real. Maybe to hurt her later. Maybe to hurt myself. That night, I acted like nothing happened. I didn't confront her. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just lay next to her in the dark, listening to her breathe, thinking about how silence had changed. It wasn't peaceful anymore. It was the sound of something dying. Part 2. The Lie We Live. The photo stayed in my phone for 3 days. I didn't look at it. I didn't delete it. It just sat there like a landmine in my pocket. Emma didn't change. If anything, she was more affectionate. She kissed me on the cheek while I made coffee. She asked how my day was. She even wore that red dress I liked, the one with the open back, and said, "Thought I'd surprise you. You should have made me feel loved." Didn't. It made me wonder if she knew I knew. If this was her way of covering her tracks. I started noticing other things too. Small things. She changed her perfume. She started locking her phone. She stayed out later after meetings. And yet, every morning, she smiled at me like nothing was wrong. The worst part? I played along. I still kissed her goodbye. Still brought her tea when she was working late. Still told her I loved her because I did. Even through the betrayal, even through the growing bitterness, I still loved her. But love without trust feels like drowning. I started digging. Quietly. Carefully. I knew her passwords. I never used them before. But one night, when she was asleep, I opened her laptop. Emails. Dozens. Some innocent. Others intimate. I read about their song. About how he missed the way she smelled. I read how she told him she felt alive again. And worst of all, I read how she said she felt dead with me. I closed the laptop and just stared at the ceiling for hours. Dead.it echoed in my chest. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Something in me wanted more than just the truth. I wanted to understand why. What did I miss? When did I lose her? So I watched. For the next week, I became someone else. A stranger in my own life. I tracked her location. Read her messages when I could. I followed her twice more. Once to a hotel. Another time to a gallery opening, where she introduced Luca as an old college friend. They looked like a couple. She touched his arm when she laughed. He leaned in when he spoke. No guilt. No shame. Just chemistry. Pure and real. It hurt more than I expected. One night, after she came home smelling of wine and someone else's cologne, I sat on the porch with a bottle of scotch and thought about leaving. But I didn't. Instead, I printed the photos. Her with Luca. Her entering the hotel. A screenshot of one email that ended with, "I wish I could fall asleep beside you every night." I put them in an envelope. And I sealed it. I wasn't sure what I would do with it. Give it to her? Mail it to her parents? Burn it? I just needed her to see that I knew. But before I could decide, something unexpected happened. Emma sat across from me at dinner one evening. She looked tired. Not physically, emotionally. Like something was wearing her down. She said, "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." Her voice was quiet. "Do you still love me?" I blinked. "Why would you ask that?" "I don't know," she said, staring into her plate. I feel like you're not really here anymore." The irony nearly choked me. I smiled. "Of course I do." She reached across the table, took my hand and said, "Then let's go away. Just the two of us. Somewhere quiet. Maybe we can find our way back." And just like that, she tried to save something she'd already set on fire. I nodded. But I knew something she didn't. I wasn't going on this trip to heal. I was going to end it. Part 3, The Weekend Escape. We drove to the coast on a Friday morning. Emma packed a bag with books and candles and that silk robe I once told her she looked perfect in. She played soft music in the car and talked about how the ocean air would do us good. I nodded. I smiled. I even reached for her hand. But inside I was at war. The envelope sat in the glove compartment. Sealed. Heavy. Every mile brought me closer to a decision I still wasn't ready to make. Confrontation or silence. Truth or performance. I still wasn't sure what I wanted, revenge or clarity. We arrived at the cottage just before sunset. It was beautiful. Wooden, warm, with big windows facing the sea. Emma gasped when she saw it. "You booked this?" "Yeah," I said. "Figured we needed something. Honest." She smiled. "It's perfect." That night we cooked together. She opened wine, I grilled steaks. For the first time in weeks, it almost felt normal. Like we were two people who once knew how to love each other. After dinner, we sat on the porch wrapped in blankets. The ocean hissed against the shore. Emma leaned into me. "I've missed this," she whispered. I didn't respond. She sat up slightly. "You've been distant lately." I looked at her. "So have you." Emma bit her lip. "I know. She trailed off. "You just what?" She shook her head. "I don't want to fight. Not here. Let's just be present. Okay?" I studied her face. That face I used to memorize in the dark. Now it looked like a stranger's mask. Beautiful. Unreadable. We went to bed in silence. In the middle of the night, I woke up to find her gone. I stepped out onto the porch, and there she was, sitting on the stairs, staring at the stars. "You okay?" I asked. She nodded. "Just thinking. About him." The words slipped out before I could stop them. Her head snapped around. "What?" I sat down beside her. "You're not very good at hiding things, Emma. You think you are, but you're not." Her mouth opened, then closed. Her hands began to tremble. "Who is he?" I asked calmly. Silence. "How long?" Emma looked away, tears glinting in her eyes. "A few months." "Do you love him?" She hesitated. "I don't know." "Did you love me?" She whispered. "Yes, I think I still do." That hurt more than a no. I stood up and went to the car. Came back with the envelope. I tossed it into her lap. She opened it slowly. The photos, the emails, the screenshot all spilled into the cold night. She didn't cry, didn't scream, just sat there, quietly crumbling. I knelt in front of her. I followed you, I said. I watched you lie to me with your eyes and your smile and your hands. I read every word. And you know what hurt the most? Not the sex. Not the secrecy. It was the fact that I didn't even recognize the version of you in those messages. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm not looking for sorry. Then what are you looking for? I stood up, walked inside, and said over my shoulder, I'm looking for the truth. Emma didn't come to bed that night. In the morning, the sunlight poured in through the curtains, but the bed beside me was cold. I walked outside. Her suitcase was gone. So was the car. She'd left me on our weekend escape, but she left the envelope behind. And inside it, folded between the photos, was a handwritten note. It said, I never meant to hurt you, but I think I broke long before I ever met him. I just didn't know how to tell you I was lost. Part 4. Ashes and Echoes. The silence after Emma left wasn't like the one I used to dread. It was deeper. A kind of emptiness that echoed louder than any argument could. No texts, no calls, just a stillness that told me everything had finally broken. I stayed at the cottage for 2 more days. I wasn't sure why. Maybe I was hoping she'd come back. Maybe I needed to prove to myself I could endure the weight of being alone. But by the 3rd day, the walls felt too close. Her scent still lingered in the robe on the bathroom hook. The wine glass she drank from was still on the counter. Her lipstick marked the rim, a ghost print of something intimate. Gone now. I returned home to a quiet house. Her things were still there, clothes, books, makeup in the bathroom drawer. But it all felt abandoned. I knew the pattern. She was waiting to see what I'd do, waiting to avoid the shame of being the one who ends it all. So I did it for her. I packed her things. Every blouse, every framed photo, every love letter she once wrote me that I now couldn't bear to read. I placed them in boxes and set them in the garage. I didn't smash anything, didn't rip the photos. There was no fury left, only grief. Slow, dull, constant. A week passed, then 2. One night, around 11 p.m., I heard a knock at the door. It was her. Emma stood there in jeans and a hoodie, no makeup, hair messy. She looked like a memory I hadn't summoned in years. Can I come in? She asked softly. I hesitated, then stepped aside. She walked in slowly, looking at the familiar walls like they belonged to someone else now. Her eyes landed on the dining table, the one where we shared 1,000 meals, and the one where I once handed her the envelope that undid everything. I miss you, she said. I stayed silent. I know I don't have the right to say that, she added quickly. But it's the truth. I finally spoke. You left. I didn't know what else to do. You could have stayed. Fought. Told the truth sooner. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I was afraid. I didn't know if there was anything left to fight for. There was, I said bitterly. You just didn't look hard enough. She walked toward me, slow and uncertain. I ended it. With Luca. The night I left. I told him I couldn't see him again. That's supposed to fix things? No, she whispered. But it's a start. I want to fix this. I want us to try. I stared at her for a long time. The woman I loved. The woman who shattered me. You can't unburn a house, Emma. You can rebuild. But it'll never be the same. I know, she said. I'm not asking for things to go back. I'm asking for a second version of us. A scarred one. A truthful one. I sat down, exhausted. She knelt beside me and placed something on the table. It was a letter, handwritten. I wrote this after I left the cottage, she said. Before I knew if I had the courage to come back. I opened it. The handwriting was shaky. The words were raw. She talked about how she felt herself fading in the routine. How she resented the quiet, but never told me. How Luca was a spark, but a fake one. A mirror that reflected who she wanted to be, not who she really was. She admitted to lying to him too. To playing roles because she didn't know who she was anymore. She ended the letter with, I don't expect forgiveness. I just hope the version of you I loved still exists somewhere beneath the ash. When I finished reading, She was crying silently. I don't know what to do with this, I said truthfully. You don't have to decide tonight. She stood, turned to leave, then stopped. Can I ask one thing? She said, eyes still watery. Do you still love me? I looked at her, and for a moment, I wasn't in the room anymore. I was in our kitchen 3 years ago, watching her dance barefoot to an old jazz record. Hair a mess, eyes lit up like she'd swallowed the sun. Yes, I said, but I didn't say what kind of love remained. Part 5. The choice we make. Love isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's the decision to stay silent when your heart is screaming. Sometimes, it's the act of walking away, even when every memory begs you to turn back. A month passed since Emma came back to my doorstep with trembling hands and a broken confession. I didn't tell anyone she had returned. Not friends. Not family. This was our ruin. Our secret war. Our slow unraveling. She stayed with her sister while I tried to feel normal again. Some days, I woke up and almost texted her. Other days, I stared at her name on my screen and felt nothing but hollow. I didn't know if I was mourning her, mourning us, or mourning the man I used to be before I knew what betrayal tasted like. One evening, I found myself walking to the old bookstore downtown, the one where we used to hide from the world when we first started dating. I ran my fingers over the dusty spines of novels we once quoted to each other, and for the first time in weeks I cried. Quietly, between fiction and forgotten names, I allowed myself to feel what I'd been holding in. Emma called that night. I let it ring. Then I picked up. Hi, she said. A pause. I'm not going to ask again, she said softly. I just wanted to tell you that I'm letting go. My chest tightened that I wanted to fight for us, she continued. But maybe you're right. Maybe some things can't be rebuilt. Or maybe they shouldn't be. I just want you to know. I loved you. I still do. In ways I can't even explain. I know, I whispered. Goodbye, James. Click. It was over.
No dramatic ending. No screaming.
No slammed doors or smashed plates. Just the finality of a goodbye that carried more weight than any argument ever could. 6 months later, spring came like a slow breath. The pain faded, though not completely. Scars don't vanish. They just stop bleeding. I changed little things in the house. Painted the hallway. Got rid of the old couch we used to fall asleep on during movie nights. I started writing again. Something I hadn't done in years. Not for work. Just for myself. To bleed safely. I saw Emma once by accident. At a park downtown. She was walking alone, sunglasses on, headphones in. She looked peaceful. Lighter. We made eye contact for a second. She smiled. I smiled back. And that was it. No words.
No closure.
Just two people who once loved each other, now reduced to a moment in passing. 1 year later, I met someone new. Her name is Lila. She's kind, curious. She asks questions Emma never did. We take things slow. I told her everything from the start. I needed her to know who I was. Flawed, cautious, still healing. She didn't flinch. She said, "Thank you for trusting me." Sometimes I think about Emma, not with anger, not even with sadness, just as someone who was a chapter, a long one, a deep one, but not the final one. Love can be destroyed, but it can also be reborn, not the same, not as a replica, but as something new, something wiser. Now, when I sit in silence, it no longer hurts, feels like peace, because I finally know the difference between the love that traps you and the love that sets you free. The end.